What's up, YouTube family? This your boy Julian, and welcome again to PB's Collectible Corner. And I know it's been a minute since I have made a video, and trust me, I had great reasons. Been working on this job, and I had to do a lot of artwork and just really create a brand new animation character design portfolio. So, man, I apologize for the past what, three, no, really about 4 weeks. I've just been grinding and doing some work, and hopefully it'll pay off. So with that being said, I on my last video, it was one of the Riot Game videos, I was talking about collecting itself. And what I wanted to talk about today is I made a statement about, for those who want to get into collecting, where's a good entry point. And this was when I was doing one of the reviews for the Riot Game statues. And so what I want to do today is, I'm not going to make it a long video, but I do want to talk about, collecting, and specifically, with what this channel is about, the hobby of collecting statues and stuff like that. And so, it's funny because collecting is really fun. I've been collecting since I was a kid. I've been collecting some of everything. I mean, my hobby goes really deep. I mean, I collect and I race RC cars, gas and electric. I've had train sets, racing sets, everything. I'm just a big kid. And with that being said, my thing when it comes to statues and so on, I've been doing that for years. I had a ton, and I do mean literally many action figures and stuff like that. And but this time I want to talk about statues and what's a good entry point. And when I talked about the Riot Game statues, I was talking about the quality of them and so on. And so what I want to do right now is, show you guys some sample statues, from small to large. And give me 1 second so I could turn the camera around and we could get going at it. And like I said, I'm not going to make this a long video, but I do think it's something that I have not seen people really talk about. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, we are back here, and I am going to do a quick little pan on some of these statues that I got my camera in my hand, so if there's, a little bit of shaking, please forgive me. But what I want to do in this video is really talk about the hobby of collecting, and then, entry point for people. Not everyone is going to be able to afford, the large quarter scale, third scale statues and stuff like that. And me, I'm the type of collector where I will collect whatever it is that I like. And for me, like I told you guys, I enjoy just the hobby. And so the hobby for me is going to be, again, whatever I like in statues. Now, for instance, let's look at something here. These, I want to start with this because when I say I thoroughly enjoy these statues that's done by the Weta Workshop, the Lord of the Rings mini epic statues, I absolutely love these things, and I plan on collecting all of them. And right now, I think I have in my collection of these about 14 or 15 of them. And, again, these are based on the Lord of the Rings movies. And what I love about these is the stylization, the characterization of them. These are caricatures of, the different characters. And this one being Gandalf, like I said, I have about 14, I think it is. 14 or 15 of them, and I have some really good ones. Now, the cool thing about these are, if you want to, again, consider something like this. They're small, and so what I did was get my trusty ruler, and you will see that this one is maybe about at its highest point, approximately 7 inches tall, right? And the good thing about these are only $45 on average. Now, you may have some that may cost a little bit more. So, say, for instance, Smog the Dragon or some of the other larger ones will cost you a little bit more. And they may be $85 or they may be $90, you know. But the quality on them is absolutely excellent. Let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see the detail. Now, I'm not in my basement area because it's still a wreck. And as I have explained to you guys on my very first video that, you know, just having relocated, you know, the basement's a mess. We got to get it redone. And, you know, so I really don't have the room right now to showcase, you know, my statue collection and some of my larger stuff. But I do want to, you know, again, continue to make videos while I'm in this transition. But again, I just want you guys to see the quality and the detail. And I'll just turn some of these by hand so you can see, you know, the statues in their entirety. And everything about this, you know, you can see, you know, the dust and the dirt particles that they have painted on here, the folds in the cloak, you know, the draping of the hood, you know, this giant moth that's on his shoulder, you know, the bag here and the detail, you know, on the bag. Just, you know, one thing about Weta, it's guaranteed they're going to give you quality. That's just a no-brainer. They are going to give you quality. And I am going to do some open boxes on these. And I may do them next week, in fact, because, you know, as I do this entry point level for collecting, for those of you that want to start collecting statues, I'm going to do more of these mini epics because I absolutely love them. And I think the quality of them is just amazing. And being a sculptor and artist myself, you know, I appreciate, you know, my fellow artists' work, you know, and the quality of their work and everything that everyone puts in it. So at this one, you're talking about something, you know, in comparison, again, you know, it's about 7 inches tall at its highest point, which is the staff. And so you got 7 inches here, and it's just a beautifully done, well done statue. Now, again, it's small in comparison to some of the others. Now, here's one. I think this is a DC Collect. I've had this for years, and I usually keep all of my stuff, especially smaller statues like this. I usually keep them in their boxes. But again, I just want you guys to see, you know, the kind of quality and level of detail. And again, good entry points for those of you that may be wanting to get into the hobby of collecting. And this is my man Cyborg, you know, from the, what do you call those guys? The Justice League. And everything about this I really like. And I have some other ones. I have Flash. I have, actually, you know what? When I had sold a bunch of my action figures, and when I did, I sold some of these. And I think I had maybe, I don't know, maybe about between 7 to 10 of these in my collection. And when I sold a bunch of my action figures, I sold some of these. And this was one of my favorite ones. And the Flash I also kept. But again, you know, you're talking about these statues are, again, around that price point. You know, when I bought this, it was probably, I don't know, maybe $30, somewhere around there. But again, let's look at the size on it, the highest point. This is probably 8.5. Looks like at the top of his head, between 8.25, 8.5 inches tall. But again, you know, people think just because you go small that, you know, you're going to lose detail. It's not going to be the same quality as some of the others. And that's just not true. With today's technology, the things that that they're able to accomplish, you know, in these sculpts and statues, it is equivalent oftentimes, you know, to some of the larger statues. Now, of course, you may lose some detail, but, you know, what we're looking at here and the quality of the detail, let's look at the detail on this face, you know. this is a very well done, statue. And, again, you can only do so much, the smaller that you go. But at the same time, with technology being the way that it is today, you still, don't have to sacrifice quality just because you go for something small. When I look at this and then when I go back to this, again, it's that same quality, that same detail in the face. And so, you don't have to sacrifice, your quality. Moving to the next one now. This one is new. My birthday was last week, and my little brother Damon got me this for my birthday. This is my first time having a My Hero Academia statue, and in comparison, again, let me pull it back a little bit so you can see, the size comparison. Let me move this over some, get him in the frame as well. And you can see the size differences. The My Hero Academia character is much larger. And he has some nice weight to him. Now that's another thing. I know some collectors, they don't feel that a statue is really a statue if it doesn't have the weight and, the quality material. And most of these are made by, with resin. And resin is just another form of plastic. And, but just because it's resin and not, for instance, polystone, which is what they use in the larger 3/4 scale and third scale statues, it doesn't mean that you do not get quality. And so, if you are on a budget and you want something that's nice, again, if we look at, size comparison, can you imagine just, a shelf full of these, if you like the anime stuff, like I said, me personally, I like everything. I like, the very caricatured, stylized stuff to the comic stuff to the anime. Me, I like everything. And I thoroughly enjoy and like this statue. And again, let's look at the quality here. Let's look at, what they're doing with the details, very, very nice, very quality statue here. And yeah, though it's made of resin and not polystone, and is it lacking in any detail? No, it's not. Look at the boots, it has, that anime look and everything about it. The colors are rich. The artwork and styling is absolutely amazing, for me personally. Now, is this something that I would have bought on my own, to be honest with you? Yeah, I probably would have, and especially if they have other characters. I've never watched My Hero Academia. I definitely know of the anime. I've never watched it, and I have seen some of the characters, but say, for instance, if they have some of the other dope characters that look as good as this one, I definitely would add them to my collection. So, again, here's another statue price point. I don't know what my brother spent for this one. I doubt if it's over $100. Could be close to it. Maybe 85, 90, somewhere around there. I would probably guess between $75 and $100 maybe for this. But again, very, very nice statue, quality, color, looks just like the character from the series, and just a great, great statue. Now let's take, our trusty ruler, look at this one, and at its highest point, this looks like 12 inches tall at the highest point. No taller than 12 inches and a quarter. And so again, if we go, and do a comparison, let's move this over, we got that, and let's bring in Mr. Gandalf. Let's bring him into the frame, and we have this. So you can see the different size differences, but at the same time, again, no quality is taken out because these things are smaller. Still great quality in them. So let me move this over. Let's go to the next one. This is the character Cassiopeia from League of Legends. This is one that I have not done an open box with yet, but just want you guys to see again. Here's another resin statue. Again, quality. And again, these things are affordable. This is, on average, most of the Riot Games statues, these average about $75 for these. And like I said, on the Riot Games statues, there are so many of those that I'm going to collect. And I think right now I am at maybe 12 or 13 of those. But again, very, very well done. Look at the detail. Look at the face. There's absolutely nothing lacking in this. And is it stylized and more, animated looking? Yes. If that's what you like, then, again, here is something that, I think is for those of you who want to start collecting and get in and, you say, hey, I'm on a budget. I can't, afford this. That's what I did. I was collecting smaller statues, and I had a ball doing it. And I had a very, very large collection before I sold them and went straight to, my quarter scale. But again, this is just something that, I want you guys to see that there's nothing, no quality is diminished at all. Still a very, very good statue here. And if we bring the other one into this picture here, let's do a size comparison. As you can see between the two, my light, forgive me, the light is, dimming and then brightening up. But the size and the scale. If we do this one, let's look at how tall is this. This one is at its highest point, 9 3/4, maybe 10 inches. Let's just round it up to 10 inches. If you go to the top of her headpiece, let's just say 10 inches, But very, very, very nice statue. I absolutely love these Riot Games statues, as you guys have heard me say on my open boxes. And for my final statue, one of my favorites in my collection, Mr. Herman Munster from the Munsters TV show way back in the 60s. Many of you guys, you young ones, don't know anything about that. But these are by Electric Tiki. And man, I have this one. I have Grandpa. And man, you talking about two statues I will never get rid of. I will never get rid of these. And I absolutely, absolutely love this statue. Now, I don't know what the material is that they use for these. So please forgive me for that. But the sculpt quality, the characterization of the character himself, it is 100%. Everything about this statue is absolutely well done. And again, imagine now, I have, right now, I got rid of some of my other statues. I think I have, I want to say 6 Electric Tiki statues like this. I have Herman, Grandpa, Red Fox, from Sanford and Son, my Greatest American Hero, Peg Bundy, and I think one other one. I don't remember offhand. But I love these statues. Now this would be, I think, the tallest of the bunch that I'm showing. And he is, let's say his head is tilted at that very peak point. Let's say he is 12, maybe, let's say 12 3/4 inches tall. Yeah, 12 3/4 inches. And when I got this, now this statue is very old. I got this many years ago. And I think at the time when I got them, I don't even remember. So don't even get me the line, but it wasn't over $100. I do know that. I didn't spend over $100 for them. And, you know, even on eBay, this has a really nice resale point, you know. Very nice statue. Um, you know, he's definitely worth way more than what I paid for him now. And you know, when I collect, I don't collect for money. I collect because I love the hobby and I just absolutely enjoy collecting stuff. I just do. And so in comparison, you know, you can see how tall he is next to the Cassiopeia. And then let's pull the My Hero Academia character in here for a moment. And matter of fact, let's move her out of the way and bring him in next to him. Now, volume wise, you know, the My Hero Academia character is bigger, you know. But again, you have this pole here that's elevating him that gives him, you know, almost the same height as the Herman Munster. But that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to talk to with you guys about is, again, you know, if you want to start collecting, I haven't seen many people do a video on, you know, what's a good entry point, what's a good starting point for those who want to collect. You know, like I said, it's one of those things where, you know, like I got my son-in-law into collecting, and now, you know, my grandson is collecting. And so, you know, he's, you know, getting his own statues. He's a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. So he, you know, gets his own Dragon Ball Z. I help him, his dad and his mom, my daughter, you know, they may help him get something. But it's at an entry point that he can afford, you know. And it's the same thing that I say with all of these, you know. These statues, you don't have to spend, you know, oh, wow, you know, these guys have, you know, however many thousands in their collections and so on. You know, you don't have to spend that much money if you don't want to. You know, you can get a nice collection going and build something that you like, you know, and you like what you like. And you know, your collection it's for you. You're not trying to do something to please other people. You're not trying to, oh, well, hey, you know, this guy has thirds, so I want to do thirds, or this guy has quarter, I want to do quarter. Now, if you can, of course, go ahead and do that. But I'm just saying, you know, you don't have to have, you know, the oversized and large statues to build a dope, you know, collection. You do not have to. And so if I pull back, let me pull back some. The lighting, like I said, is not that great back here. But I'm in our family room. And the little statue below that's my mom's statue. But you can see, you know, the size of, you know, these statues. And so just imagine if you had something like this, you know, you had a furniture piece like this, and you got some shelves on it, you know, and you fill that with some of these, man, that collection is going to look nice. Or you have something like this, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a dope looking collection. You do not. And so that's what I really wanted you guys to see and to know when it comes to collecting statues for those of you who want to get into the hobby. So give me 1 second real quick, and I'm going to close this video out. And one second, please. So yeah, that's, you know, I just wanted to do something a little bit different for you guys. And I wanted to, you know, again, collecting is fun. And people feel that, you know, oh man, the quarter scales are expensive. In fact, right now, I mean, their quarter scales are averaging lowest price 700. You know, when you and I'm talking about Sideshow Collectibles, which is the ones that I usually collect, and they're $700+ But not everybody has that much money. Not everyone has that in their budget. And you don't have to, just because you get something smaller doesn't mean that you're sacrificing quality. That is so not true. That is just not the case. Not with today's technology. As we saw with the Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings, with the Weta Workshop. I mean, these guys are producing very quality statues, and I'm gonna do next week some open box of those so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And like I said, you don't have to spend a lot of money for those of you that want to get into the hobby. And this was just me showing you something of different size, different scales. Next week we may, when I do some open boxes, I'll even go through some of the different companies that you guys can check out for those of you who may not know, who to buy from, or, where to get stuff from, and even going on eBay, buying stuff used. It's a statue is a statue. The hobby is the hobby. The collecting is collecting. And so, again, I just wanted, I thought that would be a good topic for those of you who want to get into the hobby. And, like I said, somebody like, I don't just buy, I buy what I like. And I love my collection. And when I get my basement together and everything is together and organized, you guys will see what that's going to look like. So in any event, thank you guys for taking the time to stop by. I hope this was an informative video for you. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop something in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond. Thanks again for swinging by. Please, please, please hit that like button. Share the video. Share, PB Collectible Corner. And like I said, I got a lot more stuff in store for you guys. All right, you guys have a good night. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.